We're Beats Antique. You're watching Curated Music.
So instead of looking at him,
Yeah.
you look at me the whole time.
Oh yeah. So should I interview him?
And I can,
Yeah.
say it how
Yeah.
I can say it how he would
Yeah.
say it.
That'd be good.
I would
You
answer.
don't want to do that? So, Sidecar Tommy, how did Beats Antique form?
Well, Beats Antique formed, well, in its infancy, it was just supposed to be a recording project that me and you, got asked by Zoe to produce some tracks for belly dancing. And we put it out on a label and CIA Records with Miles Copeland from The Police and different other things. And we did one album and it went really well, and so we did another album and that went really well too, and then we just the third one went downhill, and so we got dropped from our label. No, just joking. We actually just decided to do everything on our own after that. Once we started performing, we started to realize, like, our fan base and what we wanted to get done with it. So David Satori from Beats Antique, yes. So you've collaborated with the Glitch Mob, you've collaborated with Bill Gates, you did, the first collaboration was with Bass Nectar. Is there anyone that you think that you might collaborate with in the future? Is there...
Oh, wow, that's good. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to collaborate with so many artists that it's just time, time and space is the issue. But we do have plans with some other artists that we just did a new remix of Bass Nectar that came out 2 months ago, and then artist we toured with named Philistine from Spain, who was on our last West Coast tour, and we just put out a remix of his track Colony Collapse, which is our newest remix. And he's a great artist that we were able to collaborate in some gamelan Indonesian styles, which I studied gamelan, which was really cool to get back into that and do that. So, Sidecar Tommy, seems like you have some side projects. And Zoe, who's not here right now, has a group called Pussy Monster.
She does.
It's very intense. Myself, I have some projects too called Sweet Snacks and Dirt Wire, which is coming out with a new album. But yeah, we have a bunch of side projects that are doing stuff this summer. So let's talk about Sidecar Tommy for a second. What's going on over there?
Well, a few things are going on. Obviously I do my own thing called Sidecar Tommy, which is me by myself, and I just hang out by myself and do tracks and make stuff, and it's real fun. And I think with our side projects, some of the stuff turns into Beats Antique songs, some of those songs. So it's been really fun to try to figure out, to define, our own groups, within this project. And I did a really neat remix with RD. That was super fun. RD and Swan, they're both really good friends. And then I'm going to be, actually, right before I left on tour, talked to Lynx, and I'm going to be producing some of the tracks on her album, which should be cool. I played piano and drums and different things on her last album, so I'll be actually stepping up and producing some of the things. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it for us is that we're really diverse musicians, and we like playing all sorts of stuff and doing all sorts of things. And so I think our side projects are definitely going to be growing in the next few future times.
But he has an album coming out. Sidecar Tommy's got a brand new album coming out soon.
I do, and it's called Constant Flux. I just named it like 2 days ago. It's Constant Flux. It's coming out in a few weeks.
And I got a project called Dirt Wire, which has been in the works for about 5 years. With this, it's sort of Beats Antique, a little more North African and acoustic styles. We'll be coming out with an album this month too. And we're both doing shows at Lightning in a Bottle Sunday he'll be there, and Sunday I'll be there with Dirt Wire.
So my next question, Mr. Satori, is, Beats Antique has a lot of different genres and styles represented in its performance and its records. What do you think separates Beats Antique from everyone else?
I'd say, animal worship. Like we worship animals and robots at the same time. It's like, the beats being the robot and the antique being the animals. We're constantly battling the robot and the animal, and it comes out in different ways in our music and in in our performance, and every moment of our lives. So yeah, rip, it's robot versus animals all day. But yeah, we have influences that span many different cultures and worlds, and we like to think of ourselves as sort of borderless with our influences culturally, meaning like from all over the world. If there's a melody or a rhythm that hits us and and triggers us, then we're gonna take that and create our interpretation of it through our music, and we're ready to like keep going down that rabbit hole of sort of infinite combinations of different cultural and technological combinations.
So, David Satori, we've heard that you and the Beats Antique band have actually had some experiences with sustainability and saving the planet and being hippies and having sort of a sort of nonchalant attitude about having, sustainable practices and stuff, because that's just how you do it. Can you describe a little bit more about how that's affected the way that you've traveled the world?
Sure there. All right. Now we're just going for it. Yeah, sustainability and Beats Antique and touring has been a big part of my life. This project called the Sustainable Living Roadshow was launched out of me buying a bus when I was like 20 years old and like figuring out that 9/11 just happened, and there's just this huge shock wave of our use and our dependency on foreign oil and all that stuff. And so I found some weird hippies in California that were running their buses off vegetable oil, and got my bus to run vegetable oil, did a bunch of tours on that with other bands before Beats Antique, and then it led up to a whole project that owned a bus called, we called it Julia, named after Julia Butterfly Hill, who was a activist in California who lived in a tree for many years and a big tree activist. And so this project, Sustainable Living Roadshow, has a bus, and Beats Antique did its first tours in that bus, and that ran on straight veggie oil and biodiesel. And that bus still exists, and it's doing tours. And the Sustainable Living Roadshow is doing tours pretty consistently. And Beats Antique tries to share those values, and we've taken people on the road to talk about sustainability and different organizations in each town that we come to. So, Mr. Sidecar, Beats Antique uses a lot of acoustic and electronic instruments, from violins to drum sets to electronic drums and synths and all that stuff. How do you pull it all together? How do you make those all sound all right together? How do you do that?
That's a great question, David. I think, for me, can only speak from the past for myself. I've always been into some form of electronic music, mostly in the form of hip-hop, sample-based music, which already uses a lot of live instruments in it anyway.
Techno, straight house, he likes a lot of techno.
And since I didn't really like techno, I was sort of more, into down-tempo, experimental styles of music. To me, it was just very natural. I studied a lot of music growing up my whole life, and actually part of my once I studied so much music that I just got sick of studying music, I kind of turned to hip hop and as like a revolt, you know, sort of against all traditional styles, and that kind of what it ended up doing was sort of being an all-inclusive thing. And what we do now is we basically take ideas that we have, and they start out in this really like wonky sort of electronic like digital world, and then we transform parts of it into acoustic instruments. And you know, during our live show I play drums, and then I play electronic drums as well, and keyboards and stuff like that. And then, you know, David plays violin, viola, Turkish banjo, acoustic banjo. And you know, it's really just it's like what how can we transform this sound? How can we make it sound like Beats Antique, which doesn't really have any definition either. So it's been sort of a journey, you know, and every song is different, and it's just a discovery, honestly. What sort of experience does Beats Antique have about in regards to festivals and you know, the touring circuit?
Well, we play a lot. We've played a lot of festivals the past 3 years. We've been pretty full on, and felt like we've seen a lot of different festivals, from like real big crazy Lollapaloozas and Coachellas and Bonnaroos to like, you know, like a street fair, or you know, like a crazy hippie festival in the woods. Yeah, weird like hippie festival down a ravine.
I think one festival that I remember, actually I know, there was this one festival, it will remain to be named, but we showed up and they were like, so you guys have your own sound system and lights, right? And like, it's like, actually no, you're supposed to bring us a drum kit and like do the whole thing for us. And so we've definitely run the gamut with festivals. I just had to insert that.
So, but you know, at the same time, from the small ones to the big ones, it's like everyone's there and putting so much work into creating a space for people to let loose and have such a transformative experience if they want. And I think that's what it all comes down to, is like people coming together to celebrate life and music, and a place where they can let go, like get away from their normal day, you know, bullshit. And can I swear on this? Is that cool? Bullshit. Yeah, that was fun. I do have a question for you, Mr. Sidecar, right?
Yeah.
Sidecar Tame?
Sure.
Sidecar Tame. Sorry. Okay. So, Sidecar Tame. Is that how you really pronounce it? Really? Okay, I thought it was Sidecar Tame, but I guess for everybody out there, Sidecar Tame. That's weird, man. So, how has Burning Man influenced you as an artist, or have you ever heard of Burning Man?
Burning Man has influenced me as an artist by, like, you know, I've really just always strived to go out and get really dirty and play for free for a bunch of people. For, you know. Yeah, I've been to Burning Man 12 years. Done some of the craziest stuff I've ever done in the desert. From like super weird art to like just amazing shows and stuff. There's been a lot of influences. They haven't all been good. They haven't all been bad. David's weird, and I like that about him. I moved to San Francisco in '98, and I the first thing that happened was I met these cool people that were like, you know, oh, you play drums, like you should come jam with us. And so I went and jammed with them, and you know, they were like, well, we'll pay for your ticket to Burning Man, you know. And I was like, what the hell is Burning Man? You know, what is that? And they're like, a bunch of people get to go out in the desert and get naked and party. And I'm like, okay. So I went, and it totally blew my mind. And actually, all of those people, pretty much all of the people that I met there that year, are still my greatest friends. They're the people that I've collaborated with on the Yard Dogs Roadshow. I met all those guys there. Yeah, like I remember watching Lauren play and being like, wow, like, all these people love him and all this stuff, and he's my friend, but what does he do? What are they doing? You know, what is going on? And you know, as I kept going and meeting different people, and sort of changing my course, I actually heard a set from Edit from the Glitch Mob, from Ed, and he was playing sick, nasty hip hop, and I was like, finally, some hip hop, you know. And I got really inspired, and I thought, well, maybe it's time for me to start DJing.
Yeah.
The future of Beats Antique is completely unknown, as far as I'm concerned. I think that the one of the cool parts of Beats Antique for me is that we started out with zero expectations. I mean, there was one expectation, and that was to make a record. 6 releases later, you know, we've never defined it, and you know, we're actually in the process of trying to define it, sort of, for this next thing we're gonna do, and I think that it's pretty much sky's the limit. We could do anything we want or not do anything we want. It's, for me, I think what we're trying to do is sort of become more interactive, and have sort of a more cohesive show from start to beginning, where now we're playing like a lot of our songs that we've made throughout the years, and sort of it's like a best of show kind of thing. Whereas I think part of our destiny is to create a full piece of work, a full body of work that has, you know, that incorporates video and amazing lights and just really dynamic music, so that we can play all the instruments we play seamlessly with in one song, and trying different things. You know, there's a lot of things we haven't tried, and I think we're all three really excited to just push those boundaries and see what comes up.
If you owned your own private island, Tommy, who would you invite to join you there?
I think at first I'd want to just be there by myself for a while, just because, like, I don't know, you know, it would be a while until they showed up, but I would definitely invite David. I would definitely invite David and Zoe, but it would take a little while. We've been on the road a lot, and sitting in a small room, listening to each other, staring at each other's computer screens. Yeah, I would want it to be filled with really good food, and so I'd have to have, like, you know, some really badass chef somewhere. And then I'd also want, like, I definitely want, I mean, this is such a funny answer, but I definitely want, like, beautiful women and fine. I'd definitely want some beautiful women and food, and some electricity. So I'd have to find, you know, basically it'd turn into Burning Man at my place after a while, I think. And then I'd leave, and then it would just exist, and I'd find another island. So that's probably, yeah, and only some of those people would probably show up, you know. And maybe I'd just be stuck there by myself. And quite honestly, if I was, I'd have a blast. Yeah.